As I said, the theme for Education Sunday is lost and found. Now, I believe that there are two kinds of people in the world. I'm just joking here, but play with me. Those who've lost a sheep and those who've lost a sock. Let's have that picture on the screen. Some of us, try and imagine it, wouldn't know a sheep if it walked into our lounge and sat on the sofa. But I believe every person here has experienced the tragic disappearance of a sock from a perfect. Maybe you're even wearing an odd pair of socks this morning. You go into the laundry with hope and you come out crying, "Why, O Lord?" And the woman in Jesus' parable, she's lost something too. We read that she's sweeping the house for a coin. And that's not some abstract spiritual metaphor. That's a regular day for you and I. Where's the library card? Where did I put my car keys, my mobile phones? Nowhere to be found. It's frantic, but what I love is it's profoundly human. But notice this. In both parables that we heard, the thing that lost mattered. 1 sheep out of 100. 1 coin out of 10. That's not a statistical blip. That's a soul. And Jesus says heaven throws a party over just one, not over perfect scores or polished performances, but he rejoices over the recovery of what was nearly written off. And this, my friends, I believe, is God's curriculum. And today on Education Sunday, I think we do well to remember it. Because while our curriculum may be ever-changing, the divine curriculum is remarkably consistent. What is it? Seek what's been lost, rejoice when it's found, and never give up on anyone. As you know, next door to this building, a little seed was planted 170 years ago. A school, I would have had the pictures up, but I think we've seen some already. Woodley Church of England Primary School opened its doors in May 1855. What's now our church hall. It wasn't much, just some wooden benches and a blackboard that was probably too heavy to lift. But this little seed, this little school was born, and we heard about vision. It was born out of a bold vision. And it was this, that education was not a privilege for a few, but a calling for many. It's a vision that says every child is worth teaching because every child is worth finding. And in those days, the idea that poor children should be taught was about as radical as a shepherd abandoning 99 sheep. It was ludicrous, dangerous. Why should children learn when they're in the mines digging coal for us, washing clothes? What about the economy? What about order? They should, not be heard or seen. There were all these reasons against children learning, but the church said, let them learn, because the gospel says, let them be found. Can you see that connection? From 1855 to 1988, the little school met next door, and even though they moved, I think, to Hurricane Way in 88, I think their roots are still in this soil. I see the school still as our neighbours. The school are still our mission partners. Woodley C of E are our co-labourers in the field of young hearts and minds. And I want to say something today, not just to school staff generally. I know we have a number of educators and teachers here, but very particularly to Andrea and Louisa, who's with us this morning. Louisa, we honour your leadership, and we bless, as a church, your team. And even though most of your children and families aren't here with us today, your work is part of God's building project in this community. You and your team are shepherds. You are the searchers who won't give up on any child. I've been part of governor's meeting And it isn't just all stats and figures. We talk about children. We talk about their well-being. They are loved. And this work of shepherding and searching includes more than formal schools. In our parish, we are blessed with a number of people who home educate. And I want to say this clearly to those of us, and there are a few here who do this. You are not on the margins of this mission. As home educators, you too are also on the front lines. You are tailoring your children's learning to their souls. You are shepherds and sweepers too, often with fewer resources, but with deep vision. You are not the exception to the church's education story, but you are an expression of it. Again, I would have shown some pictures, but at St. John's, we are proud to host a home ed hub. In fact, just this week in the Church Times, we were featured in an article which highlights the growing relationship between churches and home educators, which is really exciting. So today, we don't just bless schools, we bless all who educate, shape, and guide, because learning is not just a postcode, it's a pilgrimage. Okay, almost coming into land, let's go a bit deeper. Why does Jesus tell us these two stories? He tells them in tandem. Because religious people were grumbling, weren't they? They said, this man eats with sinners. That's what it says. But Jesus responds, let me tell you about things that go missing and the joy that erupts when they're found. Jesus isn't talking just about moral failures. He's talking about being overlooked, underestimated, written off. I wonder, how many children in this day and age feel that? Not clever enough. They're told they're not sporty enough, not confident enough. I would say not just children, some of us here might still feel that. Perhaps you were someone who was labelled too soon. And part of you, it's hard to shake off, can sometimes still believe it. But here's the good news. The gospel breaks that label. The gospel says you are not lost, you are not forgotten, you are not overlooked. The gospel says you are loved. And to the ones who may feel lost emotionally, spiritually, educationally, the gospel says we will search, and that's what the parables are about, until we find you. Because education, when it's true to the Spirit of God, is not just about sorting strong from weak. It's about rejoicing when every child, and we are all children of God, when every child finds their voice, when a new idea is grasped, when a question is asked with courage, when a whole new world opens up behind the eyes of a child who's discovered that they matter. That's the work of Woodley COV School. That's the work of our church. That's God's curriculum, being found, knowing we're loved, that we matter. But here's the twist. The real power of these parables is not in the finding, it's in the joy. Because if you read the scriptures, not on the screen now, but when the sheep is found, we read the shepherd lifts it up, carries it and throws a party. When the coin is recovered, we read that the woman doesn't mutter, well, that was long enough. What she does is she calls in her neighbours and says, rejoice with me. That's the mark of a Christ-shaped education. Not just recovery, but rejoicing. So again, to all of our teachers, teaching assistants, governors, do not grow weary. Your labour is not in vain. To our home ed parents, juggling home and learning, planning and pastoral care, heaven rejoices over your labour too. And to us as a congregation, let's not just cheer from the sidelines. Let's join the search. That's us here at St. John's, where our children meet every Sunday. Fledglings, that they're out in the church hall, are our little ones. Flight, big up Flight, who are our older ones. Week by week, seeds are being sown, not just supervised, but they're being formed. But let me be plain, and I would have a big sign on here saying help, okay? We need help. Our volunteers are few and faithful, but we can't carry this alone. We cannot celebrate the joy of children found if no one's willing to go look for them. We need your help. So I'm asking you, this Education Sunday, might this be your moment to serve? Maybe to help once a month, to teach, to sweep the floor with someone precious in mind. Because Jesus said, the ones worth searching for are worth everything. So, just in closing, here's a challenge. Who or what have you stopped searching for? Is it your own confidence? A child's faith? A forgotten call to serve? Christ says, search again. Sweep the house, climb the hill, sign up to help, reignite the dream, and when you find it, rejoice. I want to say also thank you for all who were at Bubble Church. We had, I think, our largest Bubble Church ever, around 20 children. Thank you, all of you, who've gotten up a little bit earlier to make a massive difference in helping see these children on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m. This is what the church does, what Louisa and Andrea do, what our home ed families do, and what each one of us are called to. This is a bit corny. I was going to say, the bell hasn't rung yet. Did you hear the bell ringing yesterday? We were ringing the bell of the school. The shepherd's still out, the woman's still sweeping, and heaven is still waiting, ready to erupt when all of us join in with this. Amen.